Without wasting time, Gabriel, Abdullah, we know that 2 Kenyans were released, yeah? Yep. And Yoweri Museveni, the president of Uganda, admitted that indeed they were in his custody, despite the fact that his authorities had gone mum and had hinted that they did not know about these 2 Kenyans. As an analyst, what do you make of this situation?
I think Uganda is not living in isolation.
Yeah.
It is in East Africa. It's our neighbor. I was in Busia when Museveni came to power. So today I'm here.
40 years ago?
Yes.
You were in Busia?
I was in Busia.
As a student?
As a student. I was a young boy then when running around Busia border. Those days they were magendos, people running around.
Yeah.
So it is very sad for East Africans, whether it's Tanzania or Kenya or Uganda, not to respect its people. Countries who are given authority to lead, I'm not defending the activists, but I'm saying if they have done, they've committed a crime in Uganda, there is a process. If the first thing is they were supposed to notify the embassy in Uganda, and then the ambassador, they will have coordinated. And then if they were accused of either supporting Bobby Wine or interfering with whatever crime they were accused of, then the Foreign Relations Department will have handled through the diplomatic channels. But now when you take them to a military base, detention, then that is the tendency of abusing human rights. And in the 21st century, going to the end of civilization, and this day and modern age, those things were left in the 60s and the 70s and in the 50s and the 40s. In the modern day, people are civil about other people. People have been exposed to how people are, you deal with other human beings. And the problem is majority of these people claim to have faith. If a person has committed a crime anywhere in the world, they are arrested, their rights are read to them, they are given access to lawyer, their embassy is notified, their foreign ministry is notified, and then if there are issues that are supposed to be handled, then it's handled. But now when you abduct them, keep them incommunicado, then all you hear is they were in a military detention. When did the military become the police? So it depends on, it now shows the character of Museveni and how he's dealing with it. I am happy that Kenyans have through maybe the government or other channels, we have the former president who is alive, we don't know his role, we have a current president, we have the foreign ministry, so I'm sure there were a lot of efforts from Kenyan leaders to pressure him to release. But what is happening in East Africa, in modern day East Africa, is unacceptable. And the generation that is supposed to pick up the leadership of the next generation, our children, then we need to have a contemporary society where people are respected and they must have dignity. A man was created by God and he should be treated the same. Meaning, you give him his due as a human being. Treat him with fairness, treat him with just. If he has committed crime, there is a process in place, whether it is in Kenya. But what has happened in June last year in Kenya, what is happening in Uganda, what has just happened in the election of Tanzania, it is very sad for us to behave that way. We will have behaved better.
Could it be that now Uganda is borrowing a leaf from Kenya and Tanzania now?
No, I don't think so. I mean, we've read our regional politics and how most of them have dealt with these cases. So every country has their own set of laws, how they deal with it. And as much as this has been dealt with from the high echelons of leadership, the foreign affairs, the diplomatic angles came in. There were phone calls back and forth, there were letters back and forth. But at least what we can all at least gladly report, as you have seen, is that we've had these 2 gentlemen who are released. Well, of course, Wakil is talking about the East African, cooperation. Yes, that I'm not downplaying it. It comes to play, and probably they may have used some of those that angle of the East African community to really have these two gentlemen released. But at the same time, one thing we need to give credence to is that every country, whether it's in East Africa or out of East Africa, they deal with matters, what they say contravening their laws, they deal with it differently. There are places you will go, nations that we've had, you can go, in fact, you go missing. And we've read about it, whether you're choosing it to look in North Korea, how they deal with it in some of Eastern Europe, in the US. Every country has their set of laws. And when something like this happens, Igunda, like you saw, it becomes a diplomatic item.
Tough, yeah.
It ceases to be a political one. So that is why we can go out and make as much noise as we want, but many countries will not listen to noise. Yeah, the diplomacy at the end of the day works better, and I think in this case we saw the results of diplomacy. And sometimes, it's with our free media and free speeches. I saw people talking all manner of things, and it's good just to emphasize, once the diplomatic affairs kicks in, we allow them to do the work. I mean, they have the experience, they've done it before. You saw just the other day, was it the case of the lady who was arrested in Vietnam? Yeah. And we were all over them, Tandao, making noise. What are we doing? Oh, she needs to come back home. That's not the thing. There are laws of that land. And, we came out the same time and we talked about it. And I'm glad at least that sentence, was reduced from, I think, execution. Hanging, So again, you see how diplomacy works. So it's not an issue of politics anymore. It's diplomacy. How are we going to handle this to come up with the best result?
And the other day, when we had unrest in Tanzania, President Suluhu said, wageni ama wenzetu kutoka Kenya ndio walileta vurugu katika taifa letu. So it looks like whenever there is trouble in our neighbor's land, Kenya is being blamed for this.
It's sophistication, it is government style that has evolved over the last 60 years. Our economy is like 6 times our neighbors, so 6 countries. If you look at, I was listening to the former governor of, Laikipia, saying the central Kenya budget for the counties, or the amount of money we have, is like the 3 small countries in Africa. So this is a very rich country. I think we're in the top 5 after South Africa, Nigeria, Egypt, and I think
Morocco,
Tunisia, Morocco, those countries. So it's only that we are struggling with the issue of corruption at the top level. So there's something I must tell Kenyans. There is first responsibility when you go to a foreign nation is to you first. I've gone to Dar es Salaam. I've lived in Busia, Kenya. I've traveled to Uganda. I just came back from Oslo in Norway. When you become irresponsible yourself, you can't blame the government. Okay? The government will be the last resort for you because of your indiscipline. You cannot go to Uganda to support Bobby Wine and you don't know the laws. You've seen what happened to Senior Counsel Mother Karua. She had to comply with the Ugandan laws for her to practice. She had to, I don't know whether she did the exam, but because of her seniority, later on she was given, because we still have the East Africa Cooperation, Kenyans are practicing Tanganyika, Tanzania. There was a delay, yes, but I think that said, our foreign relations and foreign ministry in part of East Africa or Africa in the world has been sometimes one of the top. You might not say that of lately among the characters you put there, because there is a reason why the Kenyan government allows people to grow through the system. You are employed as Job Group K. By the time you become a PS in Kenya, you have written, served for over 20-30 years, so that the experience that you've gathered working with people, through trainings, learning from other people, all these things will come into play. So I think what we need is, once the government of Kenya has brought them back, that is the role of government. That is what the diplomatic mission and the foreign ministry are paid for. There is a term my brother used, I'm not a wakili, I'm a journalist specialized in governance. So he used noise. It is through noise that we got the constitution. We never clapped for Moi. we never clapped. From 92, we have been making noise. Even at home, if your wife doesn't make noise, nothing's going to change. The ability to make noise allows us to have the attention of what's bad. This country belongs to over 60 million very soon, by 2027.
Yeah.
Meaning we have a youth bulge of 38 below, close to 60 something. The people above 50 in this country are not even 6%. So why we make noise is we have a budget that is 4.2 trillion, retained 82% by the national government. The counties are receiving money. This money is paid by Kenyans. The loans are paid by Kenyans. So when Kenyans make noise for me is the only vice citizens have, because the option is taking guns. We are past that. Kenya is past that. So what I'm saying is leaders who oppress or create chaos eventually destroy their own peace or power. That happened to Libya. That happened to Siad Barre. That happened to all countries. Why is Kenya relatively peaceful? We might have crime in Nairobi, other places, because of bad economy, bad manners, a lot of other things. But you're saying our country is rich. Our country has one of the best brains in Africa. Our country has one of the best laws in Africa. The Kenyan constitution, if you talk to judges and everybody else, they will tell you it's 80% good. 80 is an A. 80 is an A, which means it's relatively 13 years old. From 2010, 15 years old, it's still very young. Devolution is 13 years. If you study countries like Italy, Britain, France, the countries that have started, issues of devolution, it takes 30 years for devolution to stabilize. Just like it takes for a 25-year-old man to think of marriage, unlike a 5-year-old. So there is a process the country has gone through. Can we say we're in the right direction? Yes. Do we have challenges? Yes. Do we have misplaced priorities? Because if I was the president doing road in Northeastern, I will do the road first, Mara, then invest in industries, invest in agriculture, invest in solar systems, so that when there is production in the Northeastern Kenya can produce rice, it can produce wheat, it can produce maize. I am a farmer. Well, I'm here, but I'm a farmer. So when we invest in production, then transportation of goods and services becomes easy. So it's an issue of who is in the helm of power, what is the priority, but we are struggling with corruption. Mudhuma cannot deny that. If you look at EACC, governors are taken to court. Members of, he's already talking about governors from Northeastern building. Where is EACC? Where is NSIS? Where is DCI? Where are the courts? If you know they are building, because when a governor, I think the salary of a governor is less than $1 million. So when he's building a house in Isli, or you're accusing him in Dubai, what is the government doing? What is the government doing? So the files must come up, and then you jail them. And if you don't jail them, then someone somewhere is receiving money. Who is that?
Probably I mentioned noise, and I was talking about the noise on social media, but really the noise he's talking about is agitation. The agitation is what brings results, because it has a framework. Tell you what, Igunza, we may not agree with this, but at the very least, as a country, we have a structure, and a good structure that allows us. In fact, it's a forum for our grievances. In fact, that's how we get change. Do you know there's so many countries in the world that don't have that structure? And that is why you see countries going up in flames, because they don't have a structure. So we may not be that badly off. Sometimes we may point really so many fingers on us and saying, we are heading in the wrong direction, or we are heading to the abyss. But one thing I like about this nation is that we have a structure for agitation, that we and you can sit down, come up with a formula and say these are our grievances, whether it's holding our placards, in fact it's guaranteed in our constitution. Coming to that thing about corruption, I will tell you, when the president came in, just immediately, I tell people, immediately after swearing in, not days, the very same day, the very same hour, he did two things. He allowed independence of two serious institutions. One was the judiciary, the other one was the police. And why? That was the first minute where he wanted to deal with corruption. Tell you what, as my brother here is talking about what is EACC doing today, if you look at the newspapers, EACC reveals it's probing counties for corruption cases worth billions. This has been it. What my brother and I and you are advocating, therefore, is we need to see people serving prison time.
That's the thing.
We need to see people serving prison time. But that's not in the purview of the president. What the president can do is say, counties in Wapatia Pesa, we need oversight from the Senate.
Yeah.
We need the the justice system to work.
Yeah.
In places where obviously the executive will be seen as overreaching.
Yeah.
Now, very important to say, the president looked at the areas within his purview of where he can bring change. Number one was our collection. Do you know Igunza? 2 years ago, I think 3 years ago, on eCitizen, we were collecting meager resources daily.
Yeah.
I think somebody was telling me it was coming to about 180 million.
Yeah.
A day. Today, when the president put in place systems to ensure that issue of pilferage is taken care of, we are collecting nearly 1 billion shillings a day.
Yeah.
We went out. He has instituted an e-procurement. We tried sometime before, many years ago. We failed. He has instituted an e-procurement. Yet people ran into court to stop it.
Yeah.
Why? Because they know once we use science and technology to fight corruption, we can actually put a serious dent on corruption. That's why you see the merchant of corruption will always be trying to fight. Like we say here in Gunza, corruption fights and fights back.
Yeah.
So as we do this topic, there's one thing we must all accept, that the president is doing the very best he can to ensure that at the very least this menace of corruption is tackled. And how is he doing that? Using technology and science.
Recent audit reports by the Auditor General of Kenya flagged massive financial irregularities and potential corruption in the eCitizen platform, including billions of shillings in unaccounted for funds, unauthorized transfer of funds to private entities, and the lack of a clear legal framework. You've just mentioned that we are doing better on eCitizen.
Let me tell you, that one I can
listen to this. Listen to this.
Yeah.
Between 9.6 billion and 45 billion of the total funds collected through the platform are unaccounted for or held in limbo with untraceable receipts.
Immediately that report came out, the DG eCitizen talked about it. And he came to you, I don't think it was in your media house, but in 3 separate media houses, he talked about it. There is no shilling, and I can repeat here without fear of contradiction, there is no single shilling lost on the eCitizen platform. None. The one you're talking about, the limbo that you're questioning, the Auditor General had put a question, it was explained to her in black and white. And the DG put it very clearly on how those monies went, and it was traced. So I can repeat here, there has not been a single shilling lost.
I believe in the efficiency of systems.
Yes.
And with the current invasion of AI, it is very easy to track systems and all expenditures, because people have their digital prints online all of the time. I just want to give you an example of, I'm currently the chairman of a sub-county referral hospital in my village.
Yeah.
I did not apply for it because there is money, but that's where I come from. I thought we could change things. From June this year, the hospital had 7.8 million liabilities. In 6 months, we have 600,000, about 800,000. We have never invented science. We just made sure there is financial prudence.
Yeah.
We invest in what we have, and then we wait for what we don't have. The president, and the president is a product of Kenya. He was born in this country.
Yeah.
So he's a product of a system that existed before him. Corruption is a human greed. It evolved through culture. Okay? There is a reason why Dubai is where it is, Qatar, a very small country, where it is, and why we are struggling. The country has never... I'm currently publishing a book. Maybe I'll invite also my friend Nuruma.
Yes, I will come.
Called The Iniquity of Opportunity.
Yeah.
How power has created 2 sets of Kenyans. And I'm going back up to 1960. Now, the country is unequal. Okay?
Yeah.
There is a small clique, either working with government or around government, or have other opportunities that have taken advantage. 65-68% of Kenyans live in rural area. And if you look at today's budget, today's paper, capitation has been reduced from 22 to 12.
Yeah.
You see, fees are being increased. So there is a lot of conflicting of characters, things that the law cannot cure. Because regardless of how beautiful the constitution or the laws are, the people overseeing, what is their quality of life?
Yeah.
What is their integrity? What's the culture of the country? The culture, like today, if you drop 2,000 shillings in town, what is the probability of someone picking and tapping you on the back?
Yeah, and telling you,
bro, you drop, even in the wallet,
or maybe you have
even phone somewhere.
Yeah.
Now, Japan, Norway and Finland, if you go to those countries, they're human beings like us. But the people who are there before us have made a decision, like Singapore, as we always talk about.
Yeah.
That man made a decision. President Ruto has come to power in a time when we were struggling, yes, but he came to a very educated society during Kibaki's time with free primary education. He came to an established system that existed in the last 50 years. Are there mistakes he made? Yes. One of the things is the bloated government. 22 cabinet ministers, almost 40-50 cabinet secretaries. The government is so huge. Because if you look at central bank, there is, I think, 608 billion is spent on salaries and the kind of expenditure. That is too much for us, where a country that 20% or a third of the country lives on below poverty, and even the middle class struggling. So we need the president. Ruto will have a choice. President Ruto will have a choice. He will either be remembered as the worst president,
or the best,
or he will be remembered among the presidents that have made changes. We are seeing things he's doing, yes, but his government, if you go to Serena or other places, the government doesn't operate on TVs and other places. Government operates in the shadows. Okay? There are extrajudicial killings in the country. Yes, there are a lot of abuses of people in this country, including the guy who was killed in the police cell.
Yeah.
So do we have problems? Yes, we have problems. This is a culture that has evolved for a very long time. Poverty, I define it, poverty is the sense of a man to think that very expensive things will make you a human being. No. We are all human beings. We eat breakfast or lunch. If you overeat, you're just putting toxicity in your body. You will have big bellies and big bodies. It's a choice you need to make. You're either disciplined to exercise and do this. So it comes back to the choices we make as Kenyans. We cannot only blame, why we blame him most of the times, the father takes the responsibility of the house. But the people working under him, believe you me, he has more hyenas working under him than under Kenyatta. Uhuru Kenyatta. Uhuru Kenyatta had people like, and by the way, Uhuru Kenyatta had more technocrats than this guy.
Yes.
If you look at his cabinet secretaries and his PSs, the people who have 20 or 30 years are not more than 5. Yet we have people like Kinyua in the State House.
Yeah.
What does age and knowledge bring? It brings discipline. What is wisdom? And then wisdom and how to do things better. This morning I was speaking by a Kisii guy from Boda Boda. I asked him what's the problem. He told me under Kibaki he was in school. Under Uhuru he was working. Under Ruto he is working. My friend has told us very good things. The taxes have improved.
Yeah.
Life did not improve. Life is not improving.
Yeah.
You know, taxes alone is not enough. You need to supplement their cushion monies. Like yesterday the president was talking about receiving money. 500, if you use it to take your girlfriend outside, that is not his business. Once you give out loan, it is up to the person paying how to pay it back. So are we a country that is stable? Yes. Do we have issues? We have issues that we must address. The biggest elephant in the room is that we lose 760 billion per year on corruptions, scandals, pilferages, wastages. How do governors steal? Let me tell you how they steal. One how they steal. Yes. There are two ways they steal. It's through proxies and tenderpreneurship. They inflate the prices, whether it is in Migori or anywhere. If a pen is supposed to cost 20 bob, procurement allows 30% profit. Okay, so you can only sell it around 26. But because we want to steal, there is a concept I call the brown envelope syndrome in Kenya. Hii ni yako, hii ni yangu. That's one. Two is through proxies. Mudhama is in government, is the deputy spokesperson. He sees a contract. He calls me. Tell me, bro, kuna hii deal.
Yes. Leta
kampuni yako. So there's even an article I wrote about dealership in this government.
Yeah.
So we have issues. The issues are older than Ruto. The issues are older than our government. The issue is greed, a society that is not disciplined.
The e-procurement, one of the things it's coming to solve. And remember, Igunza, we were here when we were bringing polygraph machines.
Yeah.
You know, and you wonder what were they coming to solve. But now with the new technology, what we want to know, me as a person who wants to probably do business with government, or anybody else for that matter, nobody's being left out. But we want to know, what are you purchasing this item at? Number one, who is supplying? At what cost? All those variables are in one place, and guess what? It's not for the people in the back office to see, but also you. And that's why I can tell you, this is one of the most genius moves the president instituted. I mean, we've been yelling corruption. We've been talking about procurement, government procurement, which we know, as a matter of fact, it's one of the most craziest places or exercises when it comes to procurement. Government procurement alone. But what has the president done? He took the initiative and he said, we are going to bring this and put it in the open. The issue that you're talking about, proxies, that's the only way you can defeat it. It's the only way. When you use technology, you know, and that's why I like, you know, because we've been in several administrations.
Yeah.
I like
this administration.
Oh, totally.
Because your bread is being battered.
No, it's not being battered. It's not being battered. It's not being battered. Listen, how is my bread being battered when procurement is coming online for all of us to see, for all of us to question? These guys are applying the same for a fraction of it. Why would you give it to some? You know, these are questions you'll be able to ask. Yeah. But let me tell you something, Igunza, before we lose this thought. About what you've said about the e-procurement, the 44 billion that you've mentioned. Yeah. I was telling you, it's very, I would love Kenyans to know when the auditor raises a question or flags something as being unaccounted for.
Yeah.
It does not necessarily mean that money is lost. And I'll tell you this, the unaccounted was a result. That thing you've read was a result of documentation delays during the audit report, not missing funds. All the supporting documents has been provided and reconciliation is now complete. No public fund have been lost. Collections, this is something people didn't know, first are routed to the central KCB account. Then it is settled at the central bank, ensuring complete visibility. If any funds was lost, by the way, with e-citizen, MDAs will raise hell. In fact, they are the guardrails, because they say an MDS is like the Department of providing passports. They say, hey, these numbers don't match. This is how much people paid into the e-citizen. Where are these numbers? So you also have safeguards in the e-citizen. That's why it's very hard for you to lose money in the e-citizen. So on that one, it was really explained by the DG and it came out very clearly. But Igunza, at some point, I know, like Abdi has said, corruption is one thing we need to fight. And not only just fight by words, but we have to be deliberate about it. The way we say we don't want money lost in the national government, it is the same gusto we need to put when it comes to county governments. And I agree with him that he actually has some pointers on how money is lost. We need to be very careful that all this money, yes, is taxpayer. It's going to the county. We need those counties to at least ensure that the common wananchi, what they are supposed to be doing for them is done, but not to reroute that money back to Nairobi. And we see all these manners of things happening. So I agree with you. We don't want money lost as government, in the national government, but with the same breath, we don't want money getting lost in the county government.
Devolution was meant to bring services closer to the people, right? And we've been in there for 15 years. Right now, as we speak, we have almost 200 billion worth of unpaid bills.
Can you imagine? Can you imagine?
In the devolved units. These are mothers and fathers and children who are breadwinners, who actually mobilized, took loans, sold property to come and try do business with the government, because the government is the biggest spender.
Because I've dealt with those cases, and many people will come into government offices really think that they can get help on matters that happened in the counties. Let me give you a very good example. When the president came in, immediately he walked in, he was hit by 175 billion shillings worth of pending bills on roads. As a matter of fact, Igunza, if you may recall, contractors had left the sites. Nobody was working. These are pending bills. As a head of state, you're looking at debt, number one, which is maturing. And it's not just that Eurobond was maturing. he was hit with this avalanche of debts. Where do you start? And that's why he said, guys, we must be very deliberate on how we think. Like you've said, it is true. We have mothers and fathers. We have people who are getting auctioned. Somebody's applied something in the country. He has not been paid 3 years. A new governor has come in. He or she doesn't recognize those bills. Where do you go? You know, and that's why the president became so deliberate. He said, we must institute. Yeah? We must ensure that all these institutions that are supposed to oversight do their work. You've had so many governors really pointing fingers at the president, the executive. You've given us the money. Hey, listen, don't overreach. Here we are doing our own things. So if EACC and these other institutions don't come in, what is the president going to do? The president will fight on the national government, which he is doing really, to ensure that all these manners of technologies are put in. E-procurement, everything. And you can see even in the e-procurement, so many governors are fighting it. Yeah. Because there was no public participation, there was no this, there was no this, there was no this. But if you look at what the president wants to achieve, is to ensure that, number one, the entire process of procurement is credible. Number two, we don't spend as much money as we spend through pilferage, you know, as we've done in the past. And I think it's the high time, really. Yeah. As Kenyans, we look in and say, wait a minute, what is the president trying to achieve? Let's look at it with a very sound mind and say, if this is going to bring things into the open, then let's go with it.
Because structures in constitution and the laws and the judiciary is as good as the people leading them. So the problem is not the structure. The problem is not procurement. The problem is the human character involved. From the top, executive, parliament, judiciary, you have had the senior counsel, Ahmed Nasser, always saying juris pesa. I mean, he's tweeting it every day, juris pesa. So it's either he knows how it's paid or he paid it himself, because you cannot know something you have not participated. Yeah. It will just be a reported speech to you. So there are a lot of things that happen within the law department, whether the advocates department. There are some even don't pay tax. Okay. Yeah. They are doing a lot of proxies themselves. If you speak to some people, the problem of Kenya is character, character of greed, character of lack of empathy. Because I wrote, was it yesterday before, an op-ed I sent to the media. I saw it in the website of TV47. Most educated tripping off poor people taxes. Yeah. And my argument is this: majority of the people who have scandals, majority of people who are buying choppers, there is nothing they have invented. And I don't think there is any who has inherited generational money. And I normally say, if you see someone spending so much, it's either it's hard-earned or illicit. He has stolen it, or it's illicit. Illicit and stolen are different. Illicit is you're working with human trafficking, you're selling kidneys like in, was it in Eldoret? Yeah. Then there is armed struggle, you're doing business, you're doing drugs, you're doing prostitution, all those things. Our country has never had issues of money. It has never had issues of constitution or laws or other statute regulatory. It had issues of a man's character. A man who is greedy, a man who thinks buying a V8 you are more important, while the essence of a car is to transport you from point A to point B. Yeah. We eat food so that we survive. Okay? So if you're eating to stay in this world, what happens when you die? What are you going to eat in the grave? So our country is the ability of unsatiable accumulation of what I call primitive wealth. Where some people live in Karen and Muiga, yet they are not inventing anything. They have just taken advantage of the poor people taxes. Even if you're a lawyer, you've been given money, you're advising them wrongly, it's wrong. If you're in the mosque, you're a imam, you're stealing, it's wrong. So we have a societal issue. And what will stop this is when the president says, I am not going to steal. He goes to State House and tells people, KICC, and he raises, as he raises the Bible with the hand, over the issues of the constitution and the sword. My fear is President Ruto chose to lift the sword than the constitution, symbolically speaking. He was also against the constitution. There is what you tell people, there is what you do inside. Character is what you do in private. Is not what you tell people. Mimi na tunaongea hapa sahi, yeye anapigia mpango yake ya kambi, bibi yake kwa nyumbani. Kuja Serena. Mimi napigia yangu kuja Panafric. We know it's wrong. Yet we are doing it. Why you just call your wife and go back home? So character is what you do in person and in private. This country is now facing very magnanimous challenge. Youth bulge. People who are close to 38 million, below 39 years. They need jobs, they need houses, they need, all these things. The president had gotten an opportunity to be the president. How, when, stealing, wherever, it doesn't matter. Today, he is in the helm of State House. He has 2 more years to go. If he's going to be re-elected, if he's going to steal it, if he's going to use system, whatever that is going to come, we don't know. Because who will have thought that Raila will die before next election? Allah knows that. Because we don't know when we are going to die. What we're saying is we need to think like men who have gone to school, who are learned, using the brain, knowing that the average life of any man in this world is between 60 to 65. Anything else is bonus. If you look at the history of even your family. So we have a future to build. We have a country to be in the top 3, top 5. When you're in the top 5 of a class, you're good. So when you're in the top 5 of Africa, we are good. Currently, I saw the president talking about we are among the best speakers of English. I wish he had said we are among the best builders of industries and production. That is more important. English is a language you can learn. Philip Ochieng did not go to school. As in, he didn't know a degree. He dropped and left. But he became one of the best. Self-taught is more important than a degree. If you rely on your knowledge on a degree, hakuna pale utaenda. There are a lot of things that happen after the degree. Reading, researching, traveling, talking to other people, listening, building yourself to other ideas. So if you read the book by the former Ukrainian, was Greece minister, finance minister, about techno-feudalism, it's talking about how China is beating the US in online banking system. They don't need the dollar now. They're doing everything is digital. So AI is with us here. We have Kenyans who have the capacity to do. The current people who are managing SHA technology are Kenyans. The young boys, 30s, 40s, they're not big boys who have been given the contract to, because the idea of the Abu Dhabi SHA website before, on this website, it had a challenge because I have a lot of PV information. Our Kenyans will have built. But because we were that, by the way, there were people who were accusing the Kenyan government of losing 109. That was not our money. That was money that came from, because they have also business interest here. So what we're saying is this: we have a country to build. If you're a contractor, or like I say, if you're a doctor, you are done up to medicine, up to PhD level. You're a lecturer at the university, you do surgeons. But when you go to KEMSA, maybe you're a director, at night you are taking 5 lorries of drugs to your hospital. How did knowledge help you? You're just an illiterate, educated thief. You've just gone through a process, but the knowledge did not help you. Because the money that you're stealing from is the money that is supposed to be meant for drugs meant for cancer patients, drugs meant for deliveries. So the money people are stealing, and I always say in Guza before I give it to my friend, there is no money that belongs to government you're stealing. You're stealing services. Yes, because every item in the budget has a code. So you're going to spend on drugs, you're going to spend on water, you're going to spend on capitation, you're going to spend on salary. So whatever you're stealing from development, you're stealing services and people's future. So let's build our country and be honest.
Igunza, there's something that I keep telling people. There was a place I was invited to talk some years back. And we discussed social responsibility. First of all, Igunza, I didn't know how huge of an impact social responsibility can be. Because most of the time when we do things like what Abdi has said, when we do vices, we think we are doing them against the government. For instance, I'll give you an example. I was just driving 2 weeks ago. I was driving on the Eastern Bypass all along, and I came through the Southern Bypass. When the Southern Bypass was complete, it it was something to be amazed of. It was lighting all the way.
Yeah.
All the way
from Olsereni to Kikuyu.
All the way to Kikuyu.
Yeah.
Look at it today. The lights are all gone. Why vandalism? It's not the government that has vandalized. It is people who have done that. Social responsibility. When you look at the guardrails, the Eastern Bypass, they have been put there on the road to ensure that accidents are minimized. And when they do happen, it's correct. Today they don't exist. Why? People have vandalized them.
Yeah.
So one of the biggest things you find in other jurisdictions and countries that belong to the top tier, the first worlds, is their level of what you call social responsibility is very high.
Yeah.
Can we learn from it? Definitely. And how do we learn from it? It's by realizing, like what Abdi has said, it is our money. We are stealing from ourselves when we do such vices. And in any case that an accident happens, it is us again who will look internal to say, guys, what have we done to ourselves? We are products of our own choices. And that's why somebody said very clearly, when you're born Igunza, you look like your parents. As you age and as you grow older, you look like your decisions. Let our decisions look like us positively. So the question that you really asked make a lot of sense. Can we get there? I believe we can get there. When the president said we can turn around this country and become a Singapore, definitely we can. You know why? Deliberate actions. That is how nations are built. It's brick by brick, idea by idea. That is the only way we can move forward. And to ensure social responsibility is a major thing. When we build, by the way, those when you come on the road and you find the gazes we go through, they were built there for a purpose. You cannot just run across the road and right the footbridge right ahead of you. You have a footbridge. Let it start with us.